I'm fulfilled. I wake up every day like excited about what's happening, and it's varied and it's different. I get to be creative, and I also get to be my own boss, which I quite like. Hi.
Hello. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was like just your journey of being a female founder in law, how you kind of got to where you've got to, because one of the things that I want to do, I guess, is try and share some of our stories so that hopefully some of the women that are struggling in the legal industry, thinking about leaving the legal industry, can actually sort of look at entrepreneurship as an alternative option to leaving the industry.
Yeah.
So it would be really great to talk about and to hear about how you created BamLegal and what it is and what you do and how you kind of got to where you are now, really.
Sure.
Okay, go.
Oh, sorry. So I started as a solicitor in St. Mason's and worked as a lawyer for 4 years. Didn't really enjoy it and kind of realized quite quickly that I felt like a battery chicken in a cage, and that the thought of doing it for the next 20, 30 years just didn't inspire me at all. And I was at the point of leaving the law completely. I'd spoken to a couple of friends that ran scuba diving schools in the Caribbean, and I thought maybe I'd go and do that. I know it's still quite a nice option. It was just amazing timing that I then was asked to go on an internal secondment within my department to look at how we could make what we were doing more efficient, and started to look at technology. So that was only meant to be for 3 months, but it went really well. Loved the tech side of things. Inner geek came fully out of the closet. And I thought I'd quite like to do this firm-wide. And this was kind of like 8 to 10 years ago. So legal tech wasn't as big as it is now at all. You know, there was a few players and a few pioneers leading the way, but there wasn't lots and lots of people doing this. And I thought this is really going to take off. This is something that people are going to look at more and more and more. So I approached the firm and I said, can I do this firm-wide rather than going back to being a lawyer? And they're like, what? You don't want to be a lawyer anymore? Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, actually, you know, I think this is more exciting. This is something I'd do. And it went well. We grew the team. We started to work with other areas of the business and kind of came up with this full service, which was like smart delivery of a new way of delivering legal services. And that went really well. They won lots of awards. And then other law firms started phoning me and saying, we've tried to do this, but it's not really worked, or we have that technology, but we're not using it. Will you come and work for us? And eventually I was getting job offers every fortnight, really. And I thought, and they were really good, big law firms. And I thought, there's a consultancy here. So I handed in my notice and set up BamLegal as a consultant to all the different law firms. That was 6.5 years ago now.
Wow. And what does BamLegal do?
So it's helping large law firms and in-house legal practices to look at what they're doing in terms of the delivery of the legal processes and how they can either make them more efficient through the use of technology or redesigning the process. There's not even that much technology, you know, in that first step. So it's just helping them to do that. And compared to when I was a lawyer, it just feels, I'm fulfilled. I wake up every day like excited about what's happening, and it's varied and it's different. I get to be creative, and I also get to be my own boss, which I quite like.
Yes, yeah, me too. So you've managed to create a business out of basically doing something that you loved to do.
Yeah, it's just problem solving, really. Problem solving and obviously a lot of networking, because you need to get your name out there. I've never really marketed in terms of paid adverts or anything like that, but I've had a lot of coffees because a lot of it is word of mouth. So yeah, I've done a lot of networking, whether it's legal tech, legal innovation, legal design. It's a really nice group of people because everyone's working to improve the delivery of legal services, both to make the life of lawyers better or to make, the service to the clients better. Mm-hmm. So when you do meet people that are in the same kind of sphere, everyone's working towards this common goal. So everyone kind of helps everyone. It's not as adversarial or competitive as being a lawyer within big law.
Yeah, I can certainly vouch for that. It's certainly what I found with sort of the relatively small network that we've got of women trying to do things differently in the industry. Actually, it doesn't even matter if some of us are actually, you know, in competition with each other. It just doesn't make any difference, does it? We're all sort of on this mission together to make the industry better.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if you go back to when you were at Pinsent Masons and you were hating your job, how did you manage to get yourself out of that role and into this, get this new internal secondment? Like, how did that opportunity present itself?
They had spoken to, there was particular types of software that they were already looking at, and they'd spoken to one of the guys that was kind of on the board of this software company. And he had said, when they said, what type of person do we look for to help us with this? He said, look for someone that's a natural problem solver, but also quite logical. And I think he said something like someone that would like Sudoku rather than crosswords. And I actually, unusually for a lawyer, you know, I hate writing an essay, but give me some algebra and I'm happy. There was 4 of us chosen to start with. And within the first few weeks as well, I'm sure the other 3 wouldn't mind me saying that it became apparent that I just naturally picked up the sort of, not quite coding and programming, but it's like halfway to programming in terms of you have to work out the law and work out if then else. And I just naturally, I find it quite easy to do and quite enjoyable. You know, it's relaxing for me to do that. Yeah.
I think what's really great at the moment is just how many alternatives there are to being a lawyer in our industry now.
Yeah. So many options, and so many exciting options, and options that will fit your personality type. I always felt as a lawyer a little bit different to everyone else. I definitely didn't come from the same mold. I didn't have A levels. I didn't speak like everyone else when I first started. There was a lot of things I felt quite different. I feel that I was actually quite commercial and I was pretty good and the clients liked me and that kind of thing. But I had no interest in remembering cases or the black letter law, as they refer to it at all. And it just wasn't, I was definitely more entrepreneurial. And I think if you are an entrepreneurial person, there's so many more routes now that you can take and go down.
So when you look back and you sort of took that leap from being employed to starting your own business, I mean, that's a place that lots of people get stuck because that's quite a scary step to take. What kind of gave you the courage to take that step?
Something that I always do with any decision that I make is to think, what's the worst case scenario? And the worst case scenario was that I didn't get any clients and I failed and I had to go and find another job. And that suddenly didn't seem that scary to me. And the thought of never trying and thinking, what if, was a lot worse than trying and failing.
I think that's such a great way of looking at it. Some people don't realise that if it doesn't work out, you're still going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still a lawyer. You've still got all your skills and experience that you can still use to go and get another job or work as a consultant. There's always going to be other options, aren't there?
That's something that I think a lot of people that I speak to that are thinking of stopping being a traditional practicing lawyer to do something else in legal struggle with. You've worked so hard to become a lawyer, and maybe your parents, your extended family are very proud of the fact that you're a lawyer. It is a profession to be proud of. You've worked very hard to get there. And it can become a little bit of a way we identify with ourselves. You know, it's unfortunately a question that if you go to a party, people go, what do you do? And I hate that as a first question, but it is normally that people try and define us by that. And suddenly, you know, being like, I'm not going to be a lawyer anymore. Does that, you know, how does that sit with me? Does that affect me? And I think I went through it, and I think a lot of other people went through it, but you never stop. You're still always a lawyer. It's hard to shake off some of those traits. And It's just, you're taking a second career or a third career.
Mm.
I think these days that's, the number of us that start conversations going, well, how did you get to where you are, Catherine? Well, I started as a lawyer. That's how I started this conversation with you today. So, it never leaves. But I think it's okay to have a little bit of time where you think about that and think about, how does this affect me? And understand that it's okay to be a bit like, oh, I'm giving up a little bit of an identity here and moving on to something else.
Yeah. So what's been the most challenging part of running your own business?
There is always a point where, so for example, I'm currently fully booked for the next 2.5 months. And after that, I'm not. And that always happens, where you're kind of like, where's the next paycheck coming from? And in 6.5 years, it's never been a problem, but I still always do have that kind of 2-month window slight fear. It can be lonely sometimes as well. So BamLegal, it's not like I employ an entire team of people. I generally use subcontractors, and I have some interns who are fabulous, but it's not like, there's a team of us. So it can be lonely sometimes, because as a consultant, you're always the outsider, and you're coming in, and that can be hard too. But that's kind of worth it for not being bored, because I'm someone that gets bored as soon as something's business as usual. So I'm quite happy to be like kind of Mary Poppins and go in, do something, and then when it's all running as business as usual, then pop out again. So
yeah. So what's the best bit about it?
Freedom. Absolutely freedom. So if I want to travel, if I want to take holiday, so yeah, I love that freedom that it's allowed me.
Do you think you're unemployable now?
Yeah, I do. I did try employment. So I joined Deloitte as an employee last year, and I resigned after 11 weeks. I was so fortunate that they have been wonderful, and I'm still working with them. They're now a client again, and they have a lot of contractors and flexible staff. So that's going really well. But yeah, it was the meetings about meetings, and the 20 days holiday a year, and the having to be in certain hours in a certain place. Very quickly, I realized I'd made a mistake, and that was not the life for me.
Yeah, I think I would feel exactly the same.
Yeah, it's hard. There's occasions where I go, what am I doing? To have that security, to have that pension, all those kind of things would be wonderful. But the benefits outweigh those kind of things so much.
Optimize your freedom for that.